All right, so let's start. Welcome, first of all. First question, do I need to do it in English or is Dutch okay? Okay, I hear English. Yeah, my French is not that good, so you don't want to hear that, right? Then you think I'm selling balloons or so, right? Okay, good. So first of all, thank you very much for joining this session. We will go through in 30 minutes, me and Eric. I'm from ColorTokens. Eric is my partner in crime from Netcure. We work very closely together, and we will go through what we call from ColorTokens be breach ready platform segmentation approach. That not only continues technology, of course, it starts with technology, but there is a big role for the partner involved here as well. As you can see from the title, what do we want to achieve with Be Breach Ready is that we want to stop the ever increasing advanced cyber attacks which is coming towards us, right? Our goal is to increase a more resilient environment for you as an end user, for you as an enterprise customer. So before I start with talking about our solution, it's always good to get a bit of notion what is happening in the market, right? I just brought up some things here, right? One, at the left side, you see a typical attack happening by the Russian nation using a technology called GPS jamming. They use it against our European flight companies. That means that if you have a flight from Brussels to Spain, to Malaga, and is jammed, then it could happen that you have to make a detour, right? That's not such a big thing for the European flight companies, but they also use it during the war with the Ukraine, right? All the drones used in that cyber war, they are jammed. That means that their targets are not hit at the 100% rate, but only at the 60, 70% rate. This is an example of attacks happening not only by, let's say, the cyber attack community, but even from nations. And I give the example Russia, Ukraine, but I can use the whole world, right? China is there, US is there, Israel is there, what have you. Another example, I think close to you, source, right? Duvel, yeah, the lovely Belgian beer out there, recently attacked, and that resulted in tearing down their all production lines. That has massive impact. That has massive business impact. So it's not a game. It's serious activities going on, serious money going on, and we need to take some actions here to get that halted, to get that stopped. But I'm here presenting from ColorTokens. We are not the only security vendor out there, right? So as you can see, there is a whole landscape of security solutions out there already. And still we are in the situation that we are running behind the cyber attack community. There are some reasons for this, right? And I will address them. But what I want to say here is that we need to next one. Yeah. We need to fundamentally change the approach to increase the resilience and to increase our protection against those attacks. This is a bit easier for me, and then I can also read a bit. Yeah? I don't know everything from my top of my head. One of the first things is that all the solutions you saw out there, they take a reactive approach. Reactive approach means that, first of all, something needs to happen, then analytics takes place, and then we will lock down some communication flows. By taking the proactive approach, that basically means you define what is allowed to communicate. Everything what is not defined is a default deny. This is what we call proactive versus reactive. and also known in the market blacklisting versus whitelisting. Of course, our solution is zero trust by principle. It is based on the foundations of the NIST 800-207 SP framework. This is used and basically invented by the DoD in the US. And it's now mandatory for all US government agencies to adapt to this framework. This framework brings a couple of things. First of all, it's a zero trust approach. So that means that you define what is allowed to happen. The rest is implicit deny. The other thing, very important here, because I hear you may be thinking, yeah, I have a firewall in my environment, so I'm protected. Yes, you're protected from the inside out and from the outside in. We call that perimeter functionality here. But communication amongst your servers is still freely happening. And that's why NIST 800-207 principle says put the enforcement used on identity, use them as close as possible to your endpoints, meaning at your server, at your user, at your device, and not somewhere in the network where you still have the possibility to move randomly throughout your environment. And of course, we need to cover all the type of environments, right? Not only IT, OT, this includes cloud, this includes on-prem, et cetera, and covering a wide range of system architectures. What I mean by this is that we need to have a solution which works for bare metal. A lot of old OS, old bare metal systems are still there, and guess what? Those are the most critical systems out there. Take a look at ING, for example. What do you think the processors are running on, right? It's the good old mainframe systems. They don't run modern operating systems. You need to cover them as well from a protection point of view. And this swings all the way into the modern styles, Kubernetes service mesh architectures. So from a technical point of view, this is what we fundamentally need to change. But as said, it's not only technology, it's also the approach. And be breach ready, that fundamentally use this technology together with the approach towards your environment to harden yourself better. And that means that we prepare for cyber attack models and take business continuity into mind. So we replay potential cyber attacks, we learn from them and validate that on our environment, and we'll make the adjustments to our environment. Other things in the approach which is essential is to be able to fast put a single asset, multiple assets into quarantine. Fast means literally by some single clicks over there, but be able to do it granularly, because we don't want to break applications, we only want to isolate, to contain the breach by itself. And the cyber attacks, the initial attack is happening in one way, but it changes over time. So we need to be able to adapt on those changes. So this combination of technology and approach, that will lead to a more cyber resilient solution out there. And of course, what is the goal of this? We want to become more and more cyber resilient. And this is the fun part. If you do this right, you get almost automatically NIS2 DORA compliancy with it in your pocket. The industry takes the other reverse, right? They start with, I need to be compliant, NIS2, DORA, etc. No, we say, do it the other way around. Implement microsegmentation in a be-breach ready fashion. You will get this automatically for free. Yeah, so this is what we fundamentally need to change. And as said, what is this different than existing solutions out there? First of all, firewalls are used at the perimeter. That means that you see the traffic coming into your data center and going out of your data center. Do you realize that this is only 15% of your traffic you have in your data center? So perimeter firewalls, even if you implement network segmentation on them, it's not looking at the right side in your network. And as long as you need to see the traffic before you can take action over there. And this is essentially why putting the enforcement at the endpoint is so crucial. At that time, you see all the lateral movement between your systems, and you will be able to control the traffic between those systems. There was an evolution taking place, right? In the 90s, 2000s, we started to implement segmentation in the infrastructure. First of all, for reasons of scalability, performance, and all that kind of things. Later on, to create a bit more security, but it was not security by design, but because we had the capability to control the traffic through a layer 3 point of view between the VLANs and the subnets. This was the first attempt. This is what we call generation 0 or generation 1 functionality of implementing segmentation. The next step is what we call software-based segmentation. You have a software controller either in the cloud or running on-prem, which controls your agents, and through that you're able to achieve in a more granular way policy enforcement. But still you're lacking things, and that's what we are achieving in Gen 3. So we are at a crossroad of Gen 2, Gen 3. There are other companies out there than ColorTokens which still deliver on Gen 2, right? Gen 3 is the way forward in order to make yourself as resilient as possible, because we are not only taking technology into consideration, but also the whole approach. I've talked about putting the enforcement at the endpoint, right? And there is a reason for that, because at that time you have immediately control from your server system. What I want to say with this slide is that you have to imagine that take the approach that you're being attacked. Once you're being attacked, so an initial compromise has happened on your environment, you want to isolate the attack as soon as possible. But how do we do that? We do that by frustrating the cyber attack community. And that is measured on a metric which is called the breakout time. So I give you an example here. What do you think after initial compromise? How many minutes will it take today in an average network to be able to move from one server to the other server? Let's say between 0 and 10 minutes, and one. Between 0 and 2 hours, 2. And after 2 hours, 3. So who's for 1, who's for 2, who's for 3? You're for 1. Anybody else for 1? Okay, yeah. It was an easy one, right? So it's almost 10 minutes, 10, 20 minutes. After an initial compromise, that attacker community is able to reach out to your other server. Can you imagine how easy it is to nurture through your environment, go out for the business critical applications there, and then exfiltrate the data, right? So breakout time, increase that as big as possible. That is frustrating the community there, and that will help you to increase your cyber resilience. There are, if you take a look at the Be Breach Ready platform solution, there are 8 pillars which are important. I will not go through all of them, but the yellow ones are the most important ones. First of all, again, you have to cover microsegmentation capabilities all the way through your entire stack. That's on the left side. Then you should be able to progressively reduce your risk. Nobody wants to break applications, so it's not 0 and 1 talking into microsegmentation area. You have to be able to silently move into a more, let's say, secure environment. That's what we do by progressively reducing the impact over there. And I will show you an example of that later on. Of course, we want to ensure business continuity, and we need to enable quarantine in a granular fashion over there. As you can see at the bottom, I highlighted in red, white, and green the different generations of segmentation out there. And here, by looking at the colors, you can clearly see that if we want to cover them all, the green one is the only solution going forward for that one. So yeah, because of time, this is more detailed about what do we mean by progressive risk reduction. So first of all, if you take a look at your environment, you see that at the top, a horizontal line. This could be your on-prem data center, your cloud, everything what you have in your environment. And then of course in your environment, you have your applications. So what happens today with the current generation of microsegmentation approach is that everybody focus on getting your application ring-fenced as soon as possible. Don't do that. It's a recipe for disaster because it's too granular at the first stage. You need to get involvement not only from your network team, security team, but also your application teams to set the policies right. First start with your what we call infrastructure policies. And that's what you see on the left side, the different elements you can focus on. So first start with dangerous ports, right? The known dangerous port, the known malicious port. Get them out of your network, right? Make it not possible to connect to those ports. Management ports only allow connectivity from specific IP ranges over specific protocols. Infrastructure services, and then as a last part, go towards your application ports. So basically what you achieve here is you increase your security posture very fast because you take the infrastructure policies first and then later on you move to the more granular application policies. That's highlighted here in a different way. And the most important part from this slide is that we manage at the top, you see constantly the risk score, we manage in real time, and we can even give you some prediction how that will evolve over time based on how you're working with the system. Of course, it starts with the highest number, which is 100, means unsecure. You want to strip that down as much as possible. This is what we constantly give you an idea about. What is your state of risk in your environment? So, wrapping up, 3 main areas here. Start with visualization, then containment, and afterwards defend across your entire stack, and use inputs from your existing security systems into our solution in order to increase your resiliency. So, this is what I have to tell. And now I give the word to Eric, talking about how we, let's say, work together on achieving this goal.
Okay, thank you, Ralph. Let me guide you quickly to a practical implementation of this technology. Before a breach, we have a few tasks to perform. The first one, of course, is do a proper risk assessment, but also have an inventory of all your assets. If you don't know what to protect and how to protect, it will be a very hard job. The second action to take is, of course, perform the microsegmentation. Once you know what you have and how to group those resources, you can do the microsegmentation and define the least privileged policies onto those segments. And as third part, do some simulations, war games. That gives you an overview how things will react in case of a real breach. and how your systems are really protected. During the breach, you can benefit from the solution by having continuously an overview on what is actually happening. Due to the monitoring aspect, you can continuously see what is going on in the systems during the breach, and you are also able to perform isolation on the infected resources as well. And then after the breach, you are able to recover the systems in the way they were before the breach. So if we see all those different parts lined up, we can check what can be done. For the first step, doing the assessment, we can do together with ColorTokens, and we as a partner can be involved together with you, and give you all the information that you need. On the micro-segmentation and isolation part, we can use the X-Shield license, which is able to perform these tasks. And the monitoring can be combined through the X-Shield license. Eventually, the system you have in place can be a SIEM, can be something else, or also the services that we can deliver as a partner. And finally, the wargaming part and the recovery will also be soon a part of the licensing, as ColorTokens is hard working on that. And I think that actually concludes our session. So I want to thank you for being here. If you want to have some more information on the solution, please come and by, visit us on booth B020, or if there are any questions, I think we are happy to take them. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. If you want to see a demo, please pass by on our booth. Thank you, guys and ladies.